I wanted to say thank you for coming and starting. Thank you for coming. You didn't stay very long. I know you had to go back, but I wanted to make sure I said hi. Thank you for coming. Absolutely. All right, good evening. If I can have everybody take their seats, we're going to go ahead and get started. If I can get the candidates up on the dais, we're going to get started today. So thank you so much for being here. I'm Terry Kimball, President and CEO here at the Chandler Chamber. And obviously, this is a very important decision that we make for the future of Chandler. So tonight, before we get started with the candidates, tonight I am honored to have with us Baron Vaughn. Baron, if you could come forward. He is a graduating senior from Perry High School who has excelled as both a student and an athlete. He has received an appointment to the United States Military Academy at West Point. I know, does that make you proud? Where he will attend this fall. So please welcome Baron, and he is going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you will please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Baron. Very proud of our youth, and thank you, Mom, for joining us here. I just want to tell you just a short, brief thing about the Chandler Chamber. Chandler Chamber of Commerce here in Chandler, we represent about 172,000 employees here in Chandler. We're the second largest chamber in the state. And I just want to thank all of you candidates for joining us because this is very important to our community. Our debate will be broadcast live on our local Channel 11 tonight, as well as the Chandler Chamber's YouTube channel. It can also be found on our Chandler Chamber website. When you came in this evening, you received a handout. There is a QR code on there so that you can scan that to be able to learn more about each of the candidates. I also want to do a shout out to our sponsors because if it wasn't for our sponsors, these types of programs wouldn't happen. Intel, Whitney Morris Baugh, Bilstein Consulting, and Salt River Project. If you can give them all a big round of applause. It is now my pleasure to introduce tonight's moderator for the debate, Garrick Taylor. Garrick is a well-respected public affairs consultant to clients in sectors like healthcare, regulated utilities, tourism, and trade. He's also the former Vice President of the Arizona Chamber of Commerce. So Garrick, there's also a QR code there to learn more about Garrick. So please put your hands together and welcome Garrick.
Well, thank you, Terry. And as Terry said, we want to thank our sponsors for making tonight possible. I want to welcome everyone. Candidates, thank you for doing this. A lot of other things you could be doing with your time, but you've chosen to serve the citizens of this community. So thank you. I want to take just a few minutes to outline how tonight is going to proceed. First of all, the Good Government Committee. It's an integral part of the Chandler Chamber of Commerce's public policy and advocacy initiatives. It was created for the sole purpose of candidate endorsements. The committee has created questions in a non-biased, business-oriented fashion for the purpose of defining the candidate's views on the government and its role in the business community. In answering, candidates need to provide a brief and succinct response so that the maximum amount of questions may be asked. This forum is a civil opportunity for the candidates to discuss their ideas and philosophy on the nature of government and business, as well as the current issues that pertain to this topic. In order to fully clarify the candidates' views on specific issues, we ask that general information about a candidate's platform be laid out in an opening statement. Each candidate's going to have 2 minutes. We're going to do 1 minute for the opening, 1 minute for the closing statement to use as you wish. a time to answer the basic foundational questions of their campaign, as well as their specific engagement with business in Chandler. Now, candidates earlier this evening drew numbers on the order in which they are seated. Candidates will provide a response to a question for a maximum of 1 minute. All right, audience members, finally, in order for us to better evaluate the candidates' positions and for the purposes of our live broadcast, we also ask that the audience remain respectful during the debate. To take a closer look at each of our candidates, please scan the QR code. You see it there on the screen, or visit the Chandler Chamber's website for detailed candidate information. All right, let's get started with tonight's program. We're going to start to my left with candidate Lisa Askey. Lisa, welcome. You have the floor to begin with your opening statement.
Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Lisa Askey, and I believe in standing up and getting the job done. I believe in serving others and that good governance starts local. I've called Chandler my home for over 35 years. My husband and I met here at work in Chandler, and together we are the proud parents of 3 incredible sons. I've also owned and operated a small marketing business right here in Chandler for 17 years. My family is my why, but also so is this community. Chandler means the world to me. I'm running to protect our thriving economy, keeping our neighborhoods safe, and ensuring transparent, accountable leadership. I'm honored to have earned the endorsement of Mayor Kevin Harkey, along with the support from respected current and former council members who trust my commitment to the city. And I would be honored to earn your support as well. I want to thank the Chamber for hosting tonight, and to all of you for the audience for being here as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're going to be a tough act to follow because you landed that exactly 60 seconds. So, Jane, you have the floor. Your opening statement, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Councilmember Jane Poston, and I want to thank both the Chandler Chamber and the members of the audience and people online watching this evening. Outside of City Council, I have 2 decades of leadership experience in the city of Chandler, working in both the public and the private sector. So I was a former city employee. I also own a small business with my husband. We've had that business for about 26 years. On a personal note, I have 2 boys. I put them in CUSD schools before I even lived in Chandler. One graduated ASU and is working in New York. The other is a finance student down at University of Arizona. So my first term on council, I believe, was about promises kept. I committed to working on police staffing. We now are fully staffed for the first time in years. I committed to working on transparency, and now you have much more access to our public meetings. I committed on partnerships and relationships, and I believe that the city has better, stronger relationships than ever. I would love the opportunity to continue to do this work. Thank you again. I'm Jane Poston. It would be my honor to earn the Chamber's endorsement and your vote on July 21st.
Great, thank you. Thank you. Angel Encinas, you have the floor for your opening statement.
Awesome, thank you so much. I want to thank the Chamber, its sponsors, and the audience members for being here with us tonight. I'm Angel Encinas. I am your hometown council member and current vice mayor here for the city of Chandler. I am deeply rooted and invested in this community. I grew up right here in the heart of downtown Chandler, where I still continue to live. I am a proud graduate of our Chandler Public Schools, a graduate of Chandler Gilbert Community College, and graduate of Arizona State University. My professional work expands from the hospitality industry, banking, to real estate and immigration consulting. In 2022, I ran to expand my commitment and service to our community. In doing so, I ran to be an additional voice for our Hispanic Latino community, our LGBTQ+ community, and for our young professional community, and for our downtown neighborhoods. And now I'm running again to recommit my commitment to neighborhood reinvestment, public safety, working with small businesses, and community engagement. Again, I'm very proud to be endorsed by the Chamber back in 2022. I'm here tonight to seek that endorsement and support once again. And for our bilingual speakers, I would like to say gracias por estar aquí con nosotros ahora. Soy Ángel, concejal aquí de la ciudad de Chandler y candidato para concejal aquí de la ciudad de Chandler. Gracias por la oportunidad para hablar con la comunidad de negocios y con los residentes aquí de Chandler. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Angel. Candidate Joe Granado, you have the floor.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Joe Granado, and thank you for having me here today. As a 1987 graduate from Chandler High School, I am the most seasoned grassroots candidate in this race. I am the only military veteran in this race. I'm the only person on the stage who has never run for public office. I have watched Chandler grow from 50,000 in 1970s to 290,000 today. I've seen the city evolve from a farming community into one of Arizona's premier cities. Some candidates can talk about Chandler's history. I have lived it. I come from a hardworking migrant family. My mother was born in Mexico and came here seeking opportunities at the age of 10. My father was also born in Gilbert. We did not come from wealth. I know what it means to struggle. I know what it means to struggle, sacrifice, and build something through perseverance. I started a company in Chandler in 1996 and then sold it in 2022 to a private equity firm. I am currently a professor of construction management at Arizona State University. I understand small business because I built one. I understand jobs because I created them. I understand budgets, contracts, negotiations, and tough decisions because I've made them. I am Joe Granado, and I would be honored to earn your vote for Chandler City Council.
Great, thank you. Candidate Ron Harden, you've got the floor for your opening statement.
Thank you, Garrett. Good evening, and thank you to the Chandler Chamber, the sponsors, and everyone here today for the opportunity to be part of this conversation. I think it's an important one as well. But I also want to thank the Chamber for the work that you do every day to support our local business community. It's impeccable. My name is Ron Harden. I'm running for Chandler City Council because I care about Chandler, but also I've been part of this community as a business owner as well. It's not just a place to raise a family, but for a quality of life, it's simply important. As a father who was present in raising my family here in town, I wanted to make sure that Chandler continues to be safe, strong, opportunity-filled for the next generation. I've been a proud member of the Chandler Chamber for more than 12 years. During that time, I've seen firsthand how important a strong partnership between the city and the business community really is. Professionally, I bring a unique perspective. I'm a small business owner, have been a small business owner, as well as a Fortune 500 executive. I've worked in the corporate world, and I've also owned small business. So I understand both opportunity and challenges that face at every level of business. I'm running to help Chandler continue to grow responsibly, support our local businesses, and to make sure that we're making smart decisions every day. Thank you much.
Thanks, Ron. Okay, Cicely Rocha Miller, we're going to wrap up our opening statements this evening with you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cicely Rocha Miller. Thank you to the Chandler Chamber for the opportunity to be here and for the endorsement you had for me in 2024. That support meant the world to me, and that is why I am not giving up and I'm running again. Because when people believe in you, you show up and you work harder and you fight for it. I am also a small business owner of 20 years. I'm a wife and a proud mom. I know what it takes to build something, lead people, and make tough decisions. I have shown up for this community through my work on the Bond Public Safety Subcommittee, volunteering with the Chandler Center for the Arts and other local nonprofits, organizing in my own neighborhood, and graduating from the Chandler Citizens Police Academy. I've made it a priority to listen and to understand how this city works. My priorities are clear: public safety, smart growth, community life, and supporting local businesses. I'm a listener, a unifier, and a problem solver who brings together people and get things done. I will lead with integrity and do the right thing even when no one is looking. I am ready to serve.
All right, Cicely, thank you. All right, we'll get into the questions next, and each candidate will get 1 minute. So if you see me pointing to the clock, that means we've hit the red light here. So we'll do our best to, I would just encourage you to do your best to keep it within that 1 minute window. We'll start the questions with Jane, and then we'll just work our way down the dais. We'll come back around to Lisa, and then we'll keep going in successive order after that. So Jane, we're going to start with you. I want you to think about your vision for Chandler and what your top priority would be to achieve that vision. You're on the clock. Go ahead.
My vision for Chandler is that it's the kind of community that all of our kids want to come back to. And that means a little bit of everything. It means that we have businesses and a workforce that are working together and have excellent jobs. It means that we have a housing stock that is not at all levels, that is both attainable for young people trying to move in, which also supports our schools. And foundationally, it means public safety, which is our police and our fire department. You can't have a great community like we have without excellent public safety. The sort of icing on the cake are the things that Chandler also does well. Things like continuing to have good quality of life services, those parks in every community, the downtown park that they're building, along with excellent festivals and events. It's really all of those elements working together that is my vision and that creates a great community. And it's something that we have to be fiscally responsible to achieve.
Great, thank you. Angel, you're going to be up next. Think about your top priority to achieve your vision for the city.
Well, my top priority and vision for the city is I grew up here in Chandler. I had a wonderful life growing up here. And like I mentioned, I want to be able to preserve that for the next future generation. And for me, that is some core benefits or core principles, which are going to be safety, economic development, and quality of life for me. As Jane mentioned, public safety is going to be a huge part of that, making sure that our community is safe, that we have perfect and timely response manners, and that police is going to have the equipment and the tools that they need to be able to protect and keep our community safe. Second, looking at economic development, as we're approaching build out, we need to be able to ensure that Chandler strengthens on its core principles and looking at our future growth and how we're going to grow to continue to build our communities here in Chandler. Lastly is going to be that quality of life here, your everyday, making sure that your roads and streets are perfectly fine, that your parks are great to visit, and that your community is going to be welcome in all areas of that. So,
Great, thank you. Joe, tell us about your top priority when you think about achieving your vision for Chandler.
Sure. So, keep forgetting that button. Yeah, so this is a difficult question because I've been asked this before, and there's a lot of priorities here. We lost our 100-year water supply contract with RWCD. We're at build out. We need to be very selective of what we have left in order to bring into this community. Whoever we court to bring in here, we have to make sure is what we need. We have issues with aging neighborhoods, and we have to be mindful of how our basically like our zoning with respect to other locations in there, making sure we're being the same with everybody. I don't want to go to one part of the city and say, hey, the zoning laws don't apply to you here, and it does in this area just because we have lower income communities here. We got to figure out how to fix that problem. But the city plateaus, that's the first thing that happens. We have a lot of areas that are not being taken care of. Weeds grow and infrastructure fails, and we need to be, as a city, be prioritizing how are we going to fix those problems.
Right, thanks, Joe. Ron, the question goes to you now. Your top priority if we're going to achieve your vision for Chandler.
Well, I am a strong proponent. I'm pro-business. I am a strong proponent for a stronger business environment. I think economic development is going to be key, but growing smarter. But right behind that and interconnected is the water management. And I've been out there talking to folks all the time about how important that is. All you have to do is look at the state and see what's going on there. In my opinion, because they can't figure things out, they're going to start looking at local communities and figuring out how. So I would really want to make sure that we tighten up the water policy to make sure that we do have adequate, supply for businesses, et cetera. Because we are built out, I think we need to make sure that we also focus on retention and expansion. But we need to be smart about our redevelopment. And yeah, that's my thought.
Thanks, Ron. All right, Cicely, think about your vision for Chandler. What's your top priority to achieve that vision?
I had the wonderful opportunity to go out into the community and collect my signatures. And when I did so, I had thousands of conversations with local Chandler residents. And by far, our community is so happy with Chandler. So my priority is to protect what is here, to make sure that the trajectory keeps going in the direction that we have done already. We have wonderful leadership that sets the precedence for our city. We have an exceptional art support program here. We have wonderful events. We have a bond that was passed by 70% of our residents because people believe in Chandler and they trust that. I think for me, as someone that is new to government and new to the interest of the community, I would really like to open up the communication to our younger ones. I would really like to engage with our kids because we are here for their future. And so with that, my job is to leave a legacy and to keep continuing with the beautiful city that we have already. And I'd like to protect it.
Great, thank you. All right, Lisa, we head over to you. Think about your priority and your vision for the city.
Well, I think I'm pretty blessed to be able to be the last person because there's so many wonderful answers here. And with every single one of the other candidates, I agree with so many aspects of what they said. The one thing that I came back to in my own mind was that it's really important that we keep our taxes and our utilities low, that we keep our economics sustainability within here for our families and our businesses, and that we focus on keeping our economy growing. As Ron said, we're at 96% build out and growing. So continuing to have that the development with our businesses, helping them to continue to grow, however that might look like, bringing in new businesses, that as long as that we are bringing in the revenue and we are keeping the streets safe, the police are doing their jobs well and have the tools that they need to have them and keep our neighborhoods safe, that we continue that cycle of having a very successful city. Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. All right, in this next question, we're going to start with Angel. We'll go around. We'll end with Jane. Angel, in that last go-around, we heard about public safety, water, economic development, lots of issues. Let's get into housing. What's Chandler's responsibility in ensuring that people who work in Chandler can afford to live in Chandler?
Yes, thank you for the question. So housing affordability is a real challenge, not only just in Chandler, it's across the state and across this country. Okay, as a real estate agent myself, I see firsthand going with buyers, young professionals, single parents, and educators going, and it's an actual true struggle and challenge to find something that they can actually truly afford. What we can do at the local level here is to make sure that they have a fair shot at that opportunity to do so. And we've been doing that type of work. We have updated codes here within our city to allow ADUs and casitas in people's backyards that would help with supply. We've been able to identify different various sites throughout our city for our shovel-ready products for more supply to come in as well. And we've also done a housing study to find that missing middle, that gap of housing that people are needing, which is going to be condos, townhouses, that type of product in there. So it's about working and building on these and making this a fair shot for people to come in and live here in Chandler.
Thank you. Joe, think about that. Folks who work here, they want to live here. What's the city's role in making that happen?
Well, basically, it's really tough for the city to have some kind of responsibility on ensuring people work here. I mean, I think every city across the country falls into this problem. I don't think the answer is townhomes and condominiums and so forth, because that brings a lot more traffic, a lot of dense traffic. There are definitely a need for that, but then the more apartments or condos being built, or just like apartments, there's a negative effect to that too, because there's less opportunity to actually own property. I think what it really comes down to, and the other thing too, is nobody even wants it in their neighborhood, so that's a problem there too. So, but you have to be mindful, because you do have to have a good balance. But at the end of the day, I think to ensure people that to be able to work here, we need to educate them. We need to educate them with a skill center, a bigger skill center. We have a little bit of programs here and there, but let's get the youth back to work, men and women, electricians, plumbers, mechanics, aviation mechanics, you name it, other trades like that. Let them know right now the value of people. Kids coming out of school don't understand their value. They're used to being in their room playing video games. Let's get them back to work. And I think somebody just believes in them, shows them a little bit of value.
Thanks, Joe. Ron, what's Chandler's responsibility in ensuring that people who work here can afford to live here?
Yeah, well, I respectfully disagree. I think that it is, for responsibility, a responsibility with the city. That being said, because housing is directly tied to our workforce and our economic future. If people work in Chandler can't afford to live here, that creates a real business issue. With that, I think that as we develop and redevelop, we have to look out opportunities to create more housing choices in the right places. So currently, I think the model may have shifted where after looking at the 10-year plan, it was a decision that went against that. I want to make sure that we stick with those choices, right? At the end of the day, it's not just a housing issue. It is economic competitive. We need to approach it that way, and we want to make sure that the workforce is able to live and work nearby.
Great. Thanks, Ron. Cicely, you've heard some differing views on the dais already. Where do you land on this issue?
I will say, as someone who has an aging mother, I appreciate the work that the council has done with our ADUs. I'd like to expand that further. It really saddens me when I'm out in the community and talking to folks, and they are a Chandler employee and they don't live here. And sometimes that's by choice. They want that separation for sure. But I think it's not about having more apartments. I don't think that's even the people living in apartments. I'm sure that they would want home ownership as well. So it's about really looking at what's available. How can we get creative with current infill projects? Also there's the idea of things are really expensive right now in our whole nation. This is hard for our builders to build affordable housing. So we need to work on reducing building costs, streamlining our permits. We do have control. It may not be a lot of control. We don't have control over interest rates and such, but I would love any sort of opportunity to give our employees an opportunity to live here.
Great, thank you. All right, Lisa, back around to you. Chandler's responsibility in ensuring that people who work here can afford to live here.
I think Chandler's responsibility is to be a good business partner with all of our entities, whether that's with our businesses, small and large, and with the community in general. It needs to be an important relationship. I go back, I do appreciate what Council Member Encina said about having middle housing. That's an important thing that we need to have. And again, with aging parents, I've been in the same situation. I work part-time at Basha High School, and a huge majority of those teachers don't actually live in Chandler. They live further out because that's where the affordable housing is. So I see that as an issue that we should be able to figure out to address. I think that making sure that if we are looking at particular housing, that housing is something where people can invest their money, that they can grow their equity, they can build their own wealth, and if they choose to have families, that they'll be able to grow their families and then be able to take that money and reinvest into a bigger community for them. So I think our responsibility goes back to keeping our taxes low and our utilities low.
Great,
Thank you.
thanks. Jane, we'll wrap this question with you. You have the floor.
All right, thank you very much. Housing prices are very deeply market driven, but I very much believe that if you can, you should. And there are things that the city can do and has been doing. As Angel mentioned, we've actually looked at our codes to expand the availability and the type of housing that we can have in our community. That includes creative things like container housing or ADUs, as was mentioned a couple of times. One of the items that the city is looking at that I'm very excited about is taking a look at our city-owned land and creating a land trust out of it. We would partner with a nonprofit, they would work on a land trust, and then the private sector would come in and build property without having the expense of the land. That makes it more affordable for our residents that can then take that equity with them and we start all over again. So it's in perpetuity. I'm also looking at partnering with the private sector. I've been at a lot of meetings with financial institutions, sometimes in thanks to the chamber, and had conversations. They're doing the job too, and I'm actually trying to bring them in so that we can look at more public-private partnerships. We can't do it alone.
Great, thank you. All right, Joe, we're going to start this next round of questions with you. What is something Chandler could do better to help businesses open, expand, or build here? The floor is yours.
Well, as a small business owner, I mean, that's definitely something that I was always trying to contemplate as I was growing my business, trying to expand. I think in every business, it really comes down to your location, the cost of rentals, or just the brick and mortar location that you're at, and then, of course, the employees. I remember programs here back in the, years ago where the city got involved with and had some kind of breaks with some employees. And I think they even paid a little bit of their wage, and I'm not 100% certain. I was trying to find that research. I was trying to research that information. The city has to be very friendly when it comes to business. It can't be a lot of red tape when you're trying to open up a business or when you're trying to expand something. We did have some recent issues with Poodles, that cigar bar with the third floor. There were some issues there, and it took a while to get that fixed. And I think as a city, knowing that those are revenues, we need to work better to try to streamline those issues. That finally got resolved, and it got open, and nothing really changed. I mean, items like that need to be addressed, and we just need to have people on board that are business minded that they can go to and say, look, here's our problem, because not everything's black and white. A code may say something, but it just doesn't fit sometimes.
Thanks, Joe. Ron, you have experience operating a brick and mortar in Chandler, just like Joe. How do you react to this question about what Chandler could do better to help businesses open, expand, or build?
Yeah, I do. And I do think that for the most part, that first and foremost, just get out of the way, right? This board, this governing group is about governing and should be making things like permitting easier to achieve. It's best to be non-seen, unimpactful, for lack of a better term. I think the city could be a better partner versus a barrier. You know, I went through my own situation with the expansion of one of our sponsors, and I will tell you it was a challenge. And being able to reach out to the city and get those responses, the city really did try to help where it could. But at the same time, there were things that I think could have been done better. And quite honestly, that's one of the reasons that I'm running. I think that we can do a better job there. At the end of the day, we have to be able to deliver on getting out of the way, making sure that we don't have any issues with priorities.
Great. Thanks, Ron. Cicely, over to you. Something Chandler could do better to help the business community open, expand, or build.
So first and foremost, I have said it once, I have said it again, and I will say it a third time. I do believe strongly that our chamber is our 8th council member. It consists of, I believe the latest numbers were 13,000 businesses in Chandler, are small businesses. 90% of them are small businesses. And I am so excited about the general plan. I have gone through it. I have, as a resident, I have attended those meetings. I have seen what has come to fruition in our areas. I'm excited about that, and I believe Chandler is heading in that direction. It's fascinating to go through that process and see the feedback that they've gotten from the residents about what they want, and I do believe the business community and the opportunities here will thrive. And then, you know, I love the opportunity, okay, thank you. I'm glad I still have time. I love to be a resident of downtown. I am a resident of downtown. And if that is just the diamond and what can happen in the future for Chandler, then I'm all about it. And I think the city is heading in the right direction.
Great, thanks, Cicely. We'll bring it back over to you, Lisa. When it comes to something Chandler could do better to help businesses open, expand, or build here.
So I actually wrote the note that we just get out of their way. So thank you, Ron. We need to get out of their way. We need to let those that are innovative entrepreneurs apply their own ingenuity and work with them. I also built my own brick and mortar. I did not do it in this town. I did it in a neighboring town. And boy, did I experience sticking out the foot and tripping me in my process on construction building, a 4-month delay. That cost us a lot of money, and it really harmed our first year. So I understand that what that can mean to a business owner who's trying to create something new, something that's exciting. So I think streamlining our permitting systems better, making things move a little bit quicker, continually working with the chamber and helping utilize their innovation and help them and work together in that partnership, that we are just really keeping our minds open, keeping communication open, and assisting these business owners any way we can.
Great.
Thank you.
Lisa, you anticipated my clarifying question because I was going to ask you if it was about permitting. And it sounds like that's exactly what you encountered.
Yes, I
Yeah.
did.
Great, thank you. Jane, you're up.
All right, thank you. I would like to address this question in the idea that we talk a lot about almost being built out. We are moving into the next iteration of Chandler. And I do want to emphasize that built out does not mean closed for business. We are open for business, but I think we need to approach it in a much different way. I think we need to start looking at redevelopment specialists, businesses that are coming in on these smaller parcels, these remnant parcels that we have left, which are very precious, maybe just don't have the large budgets and that opportunity to make those pencil. So what I would like to see is really redevelopment specialists, both in the city and us recruiting those in the private sector to get people that specialize in redevelopment to begin looking at that next iteration. That means we might have to do a little more hand-holding, especially with those small businesses, through that permitting process. I think we should do it. I think we can do it because you've seen us already be very successful doing the same thing in downtown Chandler.
Great, thanks, Jane. Angel, we're going to end this round with you about something Chandler could do better to help businesses open, expand, or build in the city.
Yes, thank you. As a small business owner with a family business, I know the struggles that business owners and entrepreneurs can go through when either opening or expanding their business. And for me, the city needs to remain a partner in helping businesses succeed and not be a barrier for starting their growth or expansion. And that means having a process that is clear, predictable, and efficient for businesses that want to open or expand and adapt. It also means that we need to recognize as a city on our end, in our perspective, that the business environment has changed, especially in a post-COVID time. Companies are operating differently now. We're seeing shifts in remote and hybrid work, changes in retail and delivery modes. We're seeing the evolving consumer expectations and the experiences and demands from consumers. Businesses are adapting quickly, and we have to be able to adapt with them in order to help and accommodate them. That's why we need to work with more flexible and creative ways to approach codes, permitting, and special requests, making sure that our regulations is still protecting our community standards and not slowing down innovation or responsiveness, and always keeping that collaboration and partnership with the business community and learning about the insights and the business process that business owners are going through.
Angel, we've got a second left here. Is that something that you hear from constituents, is concerned about responsiveness and codes and permits and things like that?
At times they're far few in between, more like special requests and stuff. There's examples of, I've had people who are wanting to install patios or do extensions and stuff. And so just a little bit longer process with that planning.
Understood. All right. Very good. Next question goes to Ron. This is our fourth question this evening. All right, this is the big one. When a data center project comes before the council, what factors will determine how you'll vote?
Well, given that I am in, first of all, you're right, that is a big one. Given that I'm in that space as a technology executive, that is something right now that I think is very important. Data centers are going to come to the state no matter. They're already here. It's going to do nothing but continue. I think for Chandler, the important thing is to know where they go, right? We have to be very strategic as far as trying to figure out how it fits in. You can't put them in the backyard of the neighbor sitting there. You're not going to get a good response for that. And quite honestly, they don't bring a lot of employment. So now you're talking taxes, right? And a tax base. I think for the traffic situation, that's something else you want to look into. But I think given the right location, given the right situation, I'm for it. I think it's a good thing to have. But again, we have to be strategic and smart about where they belong inside of Chandler.
Okay, so you're not saying no, it's location and situation.
Absolutely.
Cicely, now the data center question over to you. How will you approach this issue?
I was here the evening that I think we might have had a record-breaking council meeting with the probably hundreds of people that showed up that night. And I don't know what was on the council's mind about the decision that had made, but I know that the developer was sad. He was sad because it didn't go through, but it didn't go through because the residents spoke up. And it wasn't about the loudest in the room. It was about a population that came together and said, we do not want this in Chandler. So first and foremost, that's something that I will pledge to the city, is I will listen to the residents first and foremost. So if the residents are ready, if the council has done their homework and feel excited it's supported, and our city does a good job about communicating what that looks like, answering the questions about electricity, answering the questions about water usage, and if our community supports it, I think that they will. But if they don't, then I won't vote for a data center.
That decision you just referenced earlier, you believe that was driven by Chandler residents?
Absolutely.
Great. Lisa, over to you, the data center question.
I think that Chandler has a long and beautiful history of innovation and high technology. And a data center is going to follow with that because of AI. It is absolutely going to grow. I do think there is a need for data centers. I think it's really important that we're putting them in the proper locations, that we are listening to communities, and that we're not putting them, again, as Ron said, in people's backyards, but that we pay attention to where they're going. But also, I was at the same meeting that Cicely was at, and what I felt at that time was there were some residents, but there were a lot of also outside influences that were coming in who really had large voices. And I felt like that wasn't exactly fully fair to the city and to the community, but I also didn't think that data center should have gone where it did. So I can see where the vote went. But I think it's important at that time to really communicate with the community, with the residents, listen to them thoroughly, and then make decisions where there's a lot of open communication.
Thanks, Lisa. Jane, you've had this question come across your desk. Tell us about how you
Maybe
approach
once or
these.
twice. Thank
Tell us
you.
about how you approach these issues.
Well, sure. I think we are always looking for the best and highest use of property. And data centers, while important, they typically use a lot of resources and don't provide us a lot of jobs. Also, they get special incentives right now that don't allow us to tax them, which means that they really have to have the jobs that come with them before they have that benefit to the community. The data center vote that we're referring to, I think it was the right vote to vote no at that time because although they made a good case, I don't think that the developer showed that one, this was the right fit in the right place, and two, they really didn't show that those jobs and that building was going to come with it. So I might consider it if we knew that we were getting some research and development park or some sort of major jobs in the right place, again, not abutting a neighborhood, but it would have to be a very special project. I think we did the right thing, and we have quite a few data centers in our community right now.
If that state level incentive goes away, does that possibly change your thinking on this issue?
I think it at least provides more of a benefit to Chandler. It would weigh in, but it wouldn't be the decisive decision.
Angel, you're up next. Data centers.
Yes, thank you. Back on that specific project that we're talking about, I take my consideration, all my votes basically come to neighborhood voice when it comes to that. We did have a strong outreach with neighborhoods on that, and hearing from them was part of that decision and why I voted no on that. But there was also some infrastructure deficiencies in that project, okay? And I kind of stand behind Chandler, and we already have a strong ordinance in place that sets a very clear standard of how data centers can be developed, and I think we should continue to build on that. It's not a blanket no for me. Data centers bring some economic activity, they bring temporary construction jobs and investment, but we need to be careful to make sure that it fits our community standards, evaluate their infrastructure, their energy on there. Okay, so I think it needs to be a thoughtful evaluation for each project that comes in here, looking at how it fits into the surrounding community, its infrastructure demands, the job creations, and its compatibility with nearby uses, and how it can bring other uses in here to benefit Chandler.
You've heard some opinions about the extent to which this was driven by Chandler voices. Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah, we had a great outreach from the neighborhoods and stuff, and I had one-on-one conversations with many of the people there and listened to their concerns.
Joe, we'll wrap with you. When a data center project comes before the council, what factors will determine how you will vote?
It's going to be hard to say this in 60 seconds because I actually teach a little bit of this at ASU. I teach mechanical systems, which is about rejecting heat through cooling towers, the use of water. Okay, so in comfort cooling, you're actually rejecting a lot of heat using a lot of water. Now you add the data center with that. So the data center uses a lot of water in the process, creates a lot of heat. Now you're using it again to reject that heat. So the problem with that, it uses a lot of resources. However, data centers are getting better. The technology has been improving, but I'm still a no at this point. Data centers, even in the construction, don't bring a lot of jobs here. There are a lot of out-of-state companies that come out here, a lot of specialized people that come out here to do the work, right? So there's one. So we get no advantage from that. And second, they do not employ anybody, right? You got a very few limited amount of people that employs. And the bottom line is, we need to be very selective with what we have left in our land here. And Chandler, to me, is very precious. Like I said before, I'm a homegrown kid, and I've seen this place grow from cornfields to what it is today. I'm not going to just let anybody come and put that in there. Now, data centers are getting better, okay? But until that day, my answer would be a no.
All right, that ends that round. Appreciate everybody weighing in on that and answer those clarifying questions. Cicely, this next one goes to you. It's question 5. What's your benchmark for evaluating whether the city budget is fiscally responsible? Go ahead.
That's a great question. I got a chance to look through the city budget online, and it's an overwhelming. I believe any sort of budget with over $1 billion to manage can be so. But I think we have to really take the time to look at things line item by line item. We have to look at the return for each expenditure that we have. And from there, that's how we make our cuts. That's how we decide what goes. That's where we look at what sort of ROI are we getting for a city in return in that investment. I'd also like to really focus on what other opportunities of revenue are there within our city. No one on this dais, I guarantee, wants to tax our residents, continue to do so. So we have to continue to be innovative with that, which is what our city does.
Great. Thanks, Cicely. Lisa, we'll come back over to you. When you look at the city budget, how are you going to decide whether it's fiscally responsible?
It's a big budget. And I had a chance to sit down with our CFO and discuss how the budget works and learn a little bit more behind the scenes on that. And what I took from that conversation is that there's just a lot of care and patience and focus that goes in from the city council and the staff on developing that budget. But the first thing I think that would be a personal benchmark for me is to make sure that it's balanced and that it's prioritized so that we're meeting the needs of the residents first. And then again, keeping those taxes as low as we can. And as Cicely said, being innovative and making sure that we're fitting those needs in with and then what money we have left over, what can we do with it? Looking at where the money comes in and how it goes out.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Jane, when you look at a budget, what's your benchmark for determining whether it's a fiscally responsible budget?
Well, I think it's important to note that we've been looking at this budget since August or July of last year. So we take a lot of time to go through everything that goes in the budget. And I think that every line item should be evaluated, whether it's important or not. And we actually have a modified zero-based budget that helps us do that. And so it's very important also that we reach out to the community. We do a community survey and find out what's really important to our residents. And I know we've done an extraordinary amount of outreach and gotten those results back. And overall, our residents are very happy with what we're doing. They really love the police service, the fire service, and we need to take that into account in the overall arching look at that. This year's budget also includes some staff positions, which while this may seem counterintuitive, these staff positions will either generate revenue, replace expensive contracts with full-time employees, or reduce expensive overtime, and that will actually save the city money. So I think that's an excellent way to look at this budget, that we are providing the service and saving money.
Great. Thanks, Jane. Angel, your thoughts on the budget and your approach to it?
Yes, thank you. For me, my benchmark is seeing a successful city when we're advancing into our own ambulance services, when we have the lowest crime rates in Chandler history, and when we have new parks and stable services that we're providing to all of our community. The budget is one of our main duties as our council, and it needs to be done with discipline and respecting our taxpayers. Chandler's always had a strong reputation in being fiscally responsible, and that's something we need to continue to protect. For me, it comes down to being respectful to our taxpayer dollars, prioritizing our core services like public safety, infrastructure, parks, and these stable services, while also planning ahead for our long-term investments. It's about having a lean, efficient government that prioritizes our taxpayers and continuing to provide the quality of life that they're used to. And that means being transparent in our budgeting process, conservatively forecasting, and making sure we're delivering real value to our residents and businesses for every dollar that we spend.
Thank you. Joe, your benchmark for evaluating whether the city budget is fiscally responsible.
Yeah, so the $1.7 billion budget, that's a huge budget. I can tell you when I started my company, there was a budget of like this, right? So you start a company and you work with what you have. Having a small budget makes it easier because there is no budget, right? You just have to work with what you have. Now, when you come to a big budget like this, well, it's a different story. There's no way that this council is going to sit here and nail it down. That's not what we're here for. It's really collaboration with all the departments and making sure what makes sense. You can't just think that you're going to go in and evaluate something and say this is going to happen. There's always a cause and effect anywhere what you do. So there's the collaboration with all the department heads to figure out what's making sense, what doesn't, what can we cut back. I guarantee you, just like any other place or any other location, any other city, any other business, you're going to have waste somewhere. And it's just a matter of finding it, right? And understanding how we can work with or adjusting to make sense. So collaboration to me is really the only key thing or a benchmark that I would be seeking for, balancing or budgeting or being responsible for our budget. So
Joe, you'll look for input from city staff on these budgetary questions?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these guys are experts here. Chandler's one of the best run cities in the state of Arizona. I mean, we got good people here, so there's no reason why we're not going to lean on and learn as much as we possibly can.
All right, Ron, we're going to wrap this round with you. When you look at the budget, how do you decide whether it's a responsible one?
Balanced. It starts there. For me, it's got to be balanced. And then the next level of KPIs or key indicators for me are going to be making sure that we can meet the core responsibilities of the city. That is public health, safety, and environment. And by that, I mean water and whatnot. We want to make sure that we're able to meet those core functions and that the plan aligns with the future 10-year strategy. Unlike my friends up here today, I'm not solutioning. I'm listening. These folks that have been working here in the city have been doing so for years. They know things better than me. I'm here to govern. So what I want to be able to do is, again, remove the barriers, get things done.
I just asked Joe about input from city staff. What do you want to hear from city staff before you evaluate a budget?
What problems are we solving? That simple.
Thanks, Ron. All right, Lisa, we're going to come back to you on this next round. See question 6 pretty soon up on the screen here. What do you see as the biggest infrastructure challenge facing Chandler's economic growth?
Space. We're really coming into a build out. We only have a limited amount of land left. So I think that we need to be managing our infrastructure and making sure that as we're renovating and reestablishing and reinnovating that word, all of our different properties that we have, that we just need to revitalize them. We need to make sure that that infrastructure is brought up to a speed, our underground water, our all of the things that we need to keep the city functioning in those new neighborhoods that we're increasing and cleaning them up and getting them revitalized. But I think for our economic growth, making sure that we're bringing in companies that are really going to be focused on making sure that they're bringing in high-paying jobs and growing with the city and being very innovative in where they're utilizing the space.
All right, Jane, question about infrastructure. Go ahead.
Chandler's such a beautiful city. I think it's hard to believe that our infrastructure is actually aging as rapidly as it is. But especially in the northern and western parts of our community, we have aging infrastructure that's been there 50 years or so, and we need to take care of that. And with the inflationary issues that we're facing, everything that we do is just getting more and more expensive, especially as we deal with water. One thing that we're looking at as a council this week, actually on Thursday night's agenda, is a master plan for water. And I'm very excited about this because although it's a little nerdy, I think it's going to be a great planning tool for the city of Chandler. It is going to help us plan how much water we need following our general plan. So our general plan gets voted on. We decide whether it's going to be homes or businesses. This water plan will actually help us decide how much water goes to each of those items. Water is one of our most critical issues, which is why we need to start dealing with it now. So this will give us the tools that we need to understand how much water we need to get the job done.
Great. Jane, before I go to Angel, you mentioned aging infrastructure in certain parts of the city. Give us an example of what you're talking about of aging infrastructure.
I would say our water treatment plants are aging and need repair.
Great. Angel, you've heard the comments from your colleagues. What do you say when it comes to infrastructure challenges?
I'm going to kind of lead off of that because one of my main concerns for Chandler's future is, we have other concerns going on: economically competitive, housing affordability, and water is a huge thing across the state and regionally as well. But for me personally, infrastructure is what kind of keeps me up at night. It's my main concern because that's a foundation that everything depends on here in our city. And we're looking at a city that rapidly grew in the 80s and the 90s. That underground, under our streets, the piping, that infrastructure, it's all coming due. It's new. We need to be able to replace it, to maintain it, and to, again, think about the future growth for Chandler. Not just thinking about the next 5-10 years, but thinking about 15-20 years in advance on what companies can potentially be here. Are we going to have enough infrastructure for that water to get there? Are we going to have enough infrastructure for that power to get there for those buildings? So it's taking those considerations in there, staying close with our business community, talking with our utilities, and making a coordinated plan along with our general plan to make that successful for Chandler in the future.
Thanks, Angel. Joe, over to you. A question: biggest infrastructure challenge facing Chandler's economic growth?
Okay, well, I'm gonna have to agree with Angel on this one because I've seen the city kick the can for a while on our infrastructure, and a lot of our underground pipelines has been an issue. There's ruptures here and there, and we're just not addressing it. And I'm not one to raising taxes. I don't like raising taxes, but we have to be smart about it. Costs more every day, every year as we move on, and we need to do something about it, or else we're going to be in the same boat as one of our neighboring cities here where their water bills are probably going to be higher than their electric bills because they didn't address this at one time. Aging infrastructure is huge here in Chandler, and that would be one of my priorities to make sure we address.
Great. Joe, you talked about cost. Does that mean we need to have a conversation about a potential tax increase to cover those infrastructure costs?
You know, we haven't raised taxes here in 10 years, I believe. The bottom line is it costs money to live in a nice city, and we're going to have to look at that. Obviously, we have a rainy day fund. I don't know how much we're going to dive into that, but it's going to take a little bit of collaboration to figure out what's best for our city. Do we just raise our water rates? Do we keep raising them? We're going to raise them 100%, 200% down the road, or we're going to raise taxes that accumulate from every taxpayer? I mean, there's a lot of decisions and hard decisions that have to be made.
Thanks, Joe. Ron, biggest infrastructure challenge facing Chandler?
Yeah, I do think it's going to be replacing some of that aging infrastructure. Mayor was kind enough to appoint me to chair the subcommittee on infrastructure back in the 2022 bond. So there should be no reason to raise taxes. We've got capital improvement dollars. So looking at that, the answer is hell no, we're not going to raise taxes. With that, we need to be able to put things in place about prioritizing the investments that we have in front of us. Well, first of all, prioritize it and then put a level of risk against those. We have to be able to figure out what needs to be done first. It's not just the priority, but it's also about risk management. And I think at the end of the day, I really would look to see internally what we have for systems and whatnot about our asset management infrastructure going. That's the systems and processes that are able to allow us to make that assessment. So that's what I see.
Ron, I know enough about infrastructure to be dangerous, but I imagine a lot of it's underground. So before we dig up a road, is there a trade-off where we have to communicate to potentially businesses that might be disrupted by underground construction?
Absolutely. We need to make sure that once we do figure out where we're going to go, that we have to reach out, do the outreach and have a long conversation. That communication is going to be, listen, I've got friends that were put out of business with some of the projects that have gone on in this city. And it boiled down to communication or lack thereof where they couldn't plan.
Got it. Cicely, good conversation on this topic here. What do you see as the biggest infrastructure challenge facing the city?
I would agree with Lisa. I do think we are at a build out, and that is certainly a frustration. Water absolutely is a conversation. That's something national that we need to recognize. But right now, what comes to mind is energy. I feel that, we have such strong regional partnerships with SRP and APS, and we need to continue to support them and work with them to diversify our energy resources, because our demands are increasing and businesses are not going to come to Chandler if we cannot supply power. There is, that's it. We need to invest in infrastructure upgrades, encourage energy efficiency and conservation programs, and be thoughtful about what businesses we are attracting here.
Your colleague Ron talked about digging up a road, communicating with the business. What do you do if you have a constituent that says, "I don't want those power lines going through my neighborhood"? How do you face that issue?
Well, I believe that we have the conversation before the resident or business owner gets upset, really. I think it's about education.
Great. Thanks, Cicely. Jane, we're going to take question 7 over to you now. When a school closes in Chandler, does the city council have a role to play? And if so, what is it?
Well, I talked about partnerships, and I would say, in addition to the Chandler Chamber, that the school districts that we have in our community and the schools that serve our residents are our other biggest partner. And yes, we absolutely have a role to play. We do not have control over the schools. A lot of people get that confused. But if we can play a role in assisting with that, some of those affordable housing ideas that we talked about earlier, in making housing more attainable and bringing younger families into the community, which we are losing, then we are starting to feed those school districts. We also would like to partner with the schools and take a look at, if the inevitable is closing that school, how do we repurpose that property? Is there a way that we can either repurpose the property, maybe create small container housing on there for our workforce housing? And finally, we partner with the schools in creating them as community centers, which again brings those schools, or brings residents to those schools and sort of activates them again. So I think we do whatever we can.
Thanks, Jane. Angel, you just heard your colleague mentioned that school districts and the city are two different areas of government. So does the city have a role when a school closes?
We do, as a community as a whole, we need to have some input and some participation in that. And here in Chandler, we have a strong collaboration with CUSD. As Councilmember Jane mentioned, we don't have a decision in that making process, but I think it's definitely we are part of that partnership and what the decisions are going to be made, whether it's a transition, where those kids, those students are transitioning to, what's going to happen to those families, what's going to happen to those businesses around that school. We need to think about those components as well when a school is potentially going to be closing. And it's also rethinking again, as Councilmember posted, I think we might have shared notes on that one, is what are we going to be doing with that potential land? It's obviously not our land, it's the school district's land, but again, where can we collaborate to bring in other services, bring in nonprofits, or bring in other resources that would able to revitalize that different area if a school is to close?
All right, thanks, Angel. Joe, this question of the city's role if a school were to close.
When someone's moving to a city, the first thing they do is they probably get on the internet and they search the city, their crime rate, the cost of living, and they obviously look at the school districts, what kind of ratings they have. So they're very closely related. And unfortunately, they are two different entities here. And I feel like the city of Chandler and the Chandler Unified School District could work better together. But again, it comes down to people in seats, right? If you don't have the people in seats, you don't have a school. If you don't have teachers, you don't have the school. And that's kind of shameful that some schools that have been here for many years are closing down. So what happens? People move out of the areas, or the kids grow up and they're gone. The parents stay there and there's no more children in the communities to support those schools. So the city does have a role to play in trying to revitalize those areas and try to bring in younger families and so forth. But it is difficult. Someone sells their home, $600,000-$700,000 in a certain area. A young family with children can't afford that. So there's a problem. How we fix that problem? Again, it's got to put some good heads together and try to figure it out.
Ron, over to you. When a school closes in Chandler, does the city council have a role to play? And if it does, what is it?
Yeah, so I think the key word here is that when a school closes, that's the key phrase. So the answer is yes. The city, the schools have their own governing board, but at the same time, the schools are partners with the city, and they're a key partner. Again, I've heard a little bit of the students growing up here and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I think we have to evaluate what's next. We have to ensure that the resources are available to support whatever transition looks like. Facilitate bringing together the ecosystem that it takes to redistribute whatever was on that property. And I think finally, we need to look at repurposing, that property, being a part of what it might look like for that property. The city could become a partner. I've seen that happen in some situations. So those are the things that we should do to bring that home.
Any ideas as what a repurposed school might look like?
Oh, absolutely. There's never enough daycares in town, right? There's never enough aftercare. There's never enough senior care. There are things that strategically we can do. Healthcare, when you start looking at what we have to do, Chandler's positioned great to be a healthcare hub. So why not take a look at that?
Cicely, this is an issue that's affecting some neighborhoods in Chandler right now. Is there a role for the city council to play when a school closes?
I think what we're missing right now with this answer is the human element. Families and children are being affected to not have their everyday routine, and that is being taken away from them. So I think it is a city responsibility to connect with our residents and, first of all, make sure that the families are okay. Secondly, another thing is, well, now they're going to another school. What does that transportation look like? Many of these families rely on the transportation. I think we should look at expanding our Chandler Flex program, getting these kids to school so they're not having to worry and to stress about it. Community outreach is really important. And I think, of course, that I agree with the folks up here is that we do have to look at redeveloping the space. We do have to get creative. I don't think it's going to turn into a warehouse space or a vacancy. I think people will jump at the opportunity to be inside of those spaces.
You mentioned Chandler Flex. Tell us what that is and why you're interested in that program.
It's exceptional. I mean, as a mom who has a 15-year-old who's on his phone too much and not quite ready for a license, it's a phenomenal way to get around. It's, mostly just a small minivan, and you can pay a very, very small fee to get around town. And it's a relatively small square footage or square mileage of our city, but it's a really affordable way for people to get to site A to site B. And a lot of students utilize that.
Great, thanks, Cicely. Lisa, we're going to wrap with you. When a school closes in Chandler, does the city council have a role to play? And if so, what is it?
I think it's the city council's responsibility to make really smart, innovative decisions in how the city is developed. So are we having good jobs? Are we having high paying jobs? Because the economy is going to fluctuate however it's going to fluctuate, but it's our response to it. So we have schools that are being vacated because their student population is going down. So there's a variety of reasons why that is happening. But so I think it's just, number one, our responsibility to make sure that we are providing a city where people want to live, they want to work, they want to play. But when those schools go down, I've heard so much excellent responses tonight, and I would agree with all of them. We need to be able to repurpose those buildings and make sure that most of those buildings are going to be found in a community, in a neighborhood. So again, like you said, we would not want it to be a warehouse sort of thing, but we want to be innovative and responsive to the community about how we repurpose those buildings. So.
Great. Thank you. All right. We just ended that round there. So I'm going to go to question 8. I'll put it up on the screen here. Angel, we're going to start with you. Is there a decision that Chandler made recently where you think the city council should have voted differently?
Yes.
Yes. It's the easiest question of the evening, Andrew.
I'm going to take this to one of my personal decisions and personal votes that I think I was alone, or there might have been one other council member that voted no on this specific project. And it was a project on McQueen and Pecos that I felt was one of the strong corridors coming off of our freeway. And I'm just going to put it out there what it is. It's a storage unit place. And I didn't think that this type of use was beneficial. It didn't bring any additional jobs. It didn't bring any additional access or bring retail to that area. And so for me, I decided to vote no on that. And I went through a process of listening to our residents. I reached out to residents in the area and wanted to understand what their perspective, what they wanted in that type of area. And that's part of every decision that I make when I come to vote, is having that neighborhood resident input. I work for them. And so that's why I wanted to listen to. And I voted no, but the project did continue. So it's still going to progress. And that's just the way things happen.
Angel, is there something you could have heard that would have gotten you to yes?
If there was going to be additional areas where we're going to be generating revenue, tax revenue, or a certain number of jobs, I'd been more open to the possibility.
Great, thank you. Joe, a decision Chandler made recently where you think the city council should have voted differently?
Well, I only go to some of the council meetings that actually are, to me, are very important. And I don't think the council has made any decisions that I wish they would have made differently. So right now, that's a pretty simple question for me. Probably easier for the council members to answer this one because they go through a lot of them. I am a pilot, so I can tell you anything that goes with the airport that's negative towards it is a huge issue to me. I do believe that's a untapped resource of revenues there that we need to be looking at as we're starting to plateau as a city. But other than that, I don't know of any in particular issues that I would change.
Well, not to get us too far afield. So that's something you care a lot about, is things like airport encroachment.
Yes, so that was an issue, like the cabinet shops that were built there so close. I mean, that to me, that's an issue. I think the expansion of the runway was important, and it's not because it was going to bring in more traffic. It was just density altitude, you'd be a little bit more safer on hot days, right, to take off and land.
Great. Ron, a decision Chandler made recently where you think the council should have voted differently?
Well, it's probably a couple, but I will open and say, I don't make it to every council meeting, but I do think every council meeting is important for the community. That's a clear distinction. But by my reference point here tonight is with the data center. Not that it should have had a different outcome. I was present for a large part of that. Some of the line of questioning and the feed really came off of folks that live outside of our city. I really like to see much more, and I didn't hear any, what I would say, actionable items that came out of that, where the follow-up is, let's hold a town hall and see what folks are. I live right beside that site. And so for me, when I polled my neighbors, there were a few of them that said no, but there were also a few of them that said, maybe. So I think that might be, the one that I go with. But clearly, I also would like to add that I would like to see the city stick to its core. Don't expand into the chambers world. Stick with city business.
Got it.
I'll end on that.
Yep. Cicely, a decision that was made that maybe you would have gone the other way?
Well, let me say this. I'm really proud of our council. I think they do a really great job at listening to each other, getting perspectives ahead of time. So I can't say with full clarity or necessity that there's something that I disagree with our council members. I will say on a simple basis, it's just in two-part, that I had heard frustration of the desert landscaping for our water reservoirs or our green spaces that were turned into kind of rock bouldered areas, that there was some frustration with that why did the city decide to focus on not really true desert landscaping because it wasn't usable. And then the second thing is our public safety. We certainly love to say that we are fully staffed, and we were for a short period of time, but right now we're not. And I think that the council should have focused not only on being fully staffed for our officers, but including overages for them. So I would have liked to have seen that.
Thanks, Cicely. Lisa, we're going to come back to you. Is there a decision you can think of maybe you would have gone the other way?
Yes, there is. Last year, the council decided to revamp a couple amendments on the charter and put them on the ballot in 2025. I disagreed with that decision because shortly thereafter, they went ahead and constituted an amendment charter committee to review the charters. I felt like that was a little bit of the cart before the horse. I feel like those are decisions that could have been put before the amendment charter committee. I'm old enough to remember and been here long enough to see that there's been multiple charter changes on our ballots for many, many years immediately in a row. Every 2 years, we were seeing them back probably 10 or 15 years ago. And I remember thinking at the time, I don't understand why we just can't get our arms around the charter, get our arms around it and make decisions that can last on there. So I feel like when we continually go back to the ballot and we go back to the voters to make little changes every single election, that in itself creates voter fatigue. And we do have more amendments coming up this year from that. So
great. Thanks, Lisa. Jane, we're going to end with this. We started with your colleague on the council, or he was on the other side of a project. Have you found yourself on the other side of a vote and you wish your colleagues went the other way?
Putting us on the spot. We try very hard to collaborate and work together. This one wasn't actually a vote, but it was really more council direction. I had brought the concept of an ethics policy to the council because I thought that the research and the history and the thought process behind it shouldn't be done by a council member, me alone. I thought the direction should come from the council as a body. This is not a dead and gone issue. I've taken it back and am working on that. This is an issue that has been in the chambers, how we stand document for, I want to say, either 7 or 9 years. That charter committee actually had recommended it as well. And I think that we need to be listening to our residents when they ask us. We may or may not end up in agreement on an ethics policy or what it should look like. But I do think that the council should have moved forward to as a council body to give that direction to staff. I am working on it now and we'll see where it goes.
Fair enough. I'm going to ask one more question that'll end the main portion, then we're going to move on to some rapid fire. You're not going to see this on your screen, so I'll do my best to repeat it for everybody's. But Joe, we're going to start with you. What is something, I'm getting from my proctor here, what is one thing Chandler does better than any other East Valley city?
Just one.
You got 60 seconds.
Well, I can tell you that our law enforcement is probably one of the best in the country, let alone any local city around here. So I got to give them credit for that.
That's great. Ron, what's something that Chandler does better than anybody else in the East Valley?
Well, I'm there too. I think, how we've gone about thinking through being strategic about what we want Chandler to be. And by that, I just mean what businesses do we want to be here? We've already excelled at tech. So now, how are we positioned for moving to that next thing? Advanced manufacturing, healthcare, professional services, as I mentioned. I think we really do better than most cities in the East Valley about thinking through what those long vision ideas should be.
All right, so we've heard public safety, thoughtful economic development. What about you, Cicely? What's something Chandler does better than anybody else?
That's easy for me. It's community impact. I think when we get into a space together and we understand each other, it's a much more beautiful world.
Great. Lisa, when you look at Chandler, what's something that this city does better than any other city?
I think we manage our money, the people's money, well. I think we have the lowest taxes and we have the lowest utility rates throughout the state. Our sales tax is one of the lowest. We just have to look at our neighboring cities to see what not planning for the future looks like. And when you have to raise your utility rates 100%, that's a hard hit just a couple of miles away. So I think that Chandler's done an excellent job of being able to handle the money that comes in without overtaxing and overburdening the people and still providing the best services in the state.
There's a certain benefit to being an incumbent. So now Jane and Angel get to congratulate themselves here. So Jane, what is the Jane, what's something that Chandler does better than any other East Valley city?
Everything?
Everything. We should have known.
Can I actually, in all seriousness, I like to say that collaboration is our superpower. The fact that we work so well and try very hard to work with our community to partners, whether it's the business community, the schools, at all levels of education, the nonprofits. I think the fact that we try and make all of our decisions a collaborative effort with input from all of our stakeholders is what we do best.
Great. Angel, it's your turn.
Yeah, definitely difficult to just name one thing, but for me, it's Chandler has established who we are and where we are going in our future. We've always been very steadfast in that, and visiting other cities, going to other conferences, hearing from other communities and hearing their issues. We are far advanced and we are the city of innovation, but it truly is. You guys, when I'm talking to people, other leaders across the country, we are leading in quality of life, in public safety, in innovation, and in economic development. So I owe it to our founding leaders who helped establish that.
Great. Thank you. Well, that concludes the main part here. And it was actually a good warm up here because we're going to go into a lightning round. We want these questions, these answers to be as quick as possible. That we ended that round with Joe. So we're going to start the rapid fire with Ron, and we'll just run through these real quick here. So Ron, you heard it referenced earlier. Should Chandler form an independent ethics commission? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Cicely?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes.
Angel?
Can I say maybe?
Maybe. Joe?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right. Cicely, you're up next. What's one word you would use to describe Chandler's permitting process?
Slow.
Okay. Lisa?
I would agree, slow.
Jane?
A work in progress.
Mm-hmm. Angel?
Advanced.
Joe?
Needs improvement, is that one word?
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Ron?
In need of process improvement.
Very good. All right. We started with you, Cicely, right? On that last one? All right. So we come back over to Lisa. Does the city need more parks?
No.
Okay. Jane?
No.
Okay. Angel?
We've hit our goal of 60, a park in every square mile. So I would say no, but I'm open to some additional ones.
Joe?
Yes.
Ron?
No.
All right. Cicely?
I would say maybe, only because there's specific areas that don't have it.
Okay. All right. Okay, so we're going to go to Jane now. I'm going to ask you to pick one. This is tough. Would you?
These are not one-word questions.
I know. Do you lean towards protecting employment corridors or allowing more mixed-use housing?
Protect employment corridors.
Angel?
Protecting employment corridors.
Joe?
Protect employment corridors.
Ron?
Why not mixed use?
All right. Cicely?
It's tough. Employment corridors.
Okay.
Mhm.
Lisa?
That's a good question. I'm stuck between the two, so I'm probably going to go with mixed use.
All right. We started with Jane on that one, so we're going to go to Angel now.
Yes.
Should more be invested into downtown Chandler?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Ron?
I'm going to say uptown, so no.
Okay. Cicely?
Yes.
Lisa? Maybe. Okay. Jane?
Yes, we're doing so right now.
All right. We started with Angel on that one, so we're going to start with Joe on this one. State statute allows signs to go up 71 days before the election. Should campaign signs be allowed before state statute allows?
Why did I get that question? Is that a one? Do I get 60 seconds?
Should
to
it be
answer this one?
allowed before the 71 days?
Freedom of speech on private property, yes.
Ron?
No.
Cicely?
No.
Lisa?
No.
Jane?
No.
Angel?
No.
No. All right. All right. We started with Joe on that, so I'm going to go to Ron here. Is the city moving fast enough on major decisions?
I'm going to say yes.
Right. Cicely?
Yes.
Lisa?
Yes.
Jane?
Yes, they need to be done with thought and input.
Angel?
Yes.
And
For the most part, yes.
Cicely, we're back to you now. Should the city invest more in arterial road expansions or in alternative transportation?
Arterial road expansions.
Over to you, Lisa.
Is both an answer?
Sure.
I believe in arterial road expansions, yeah.
Jane, arterial road expansions versus alternative transportation.
Let's go with the roads.
Okay. Angel?
Roads.
Joe?
Well, that just really depends on where.
Okay.
So I don't think that's kind of a fair question because there's not one place that fits for all. But at the same time, I'm just going to have to stay with roads.
We'll wrap with you, Ron. Arterial versus alternative transportation.
Yeah, having spent 9 years on the transportation board here, I'm going to say roads.
Great. Lisa, this next one goes to you. What do you think is a bigger threat to Chandler's economy? Water, power, or housing?
Housing.
Jane.
Power.
Power.
Angel.
Oh, sorry. Power.
Power. Joe.
Power.
Ron.
I want to make
What's a bigger threat to Chandler's economy? Is it water, power, or housing?
at this moment, I think it's power.
All right, Cicely, water, power, or housing?
Power.
All right. Started with Lisa. We're going to start with Jane on this next one. Should Chandler continue reducing property taxes even if infrastructure needs grow?
Could you repeat that?
Should,
Even if infrastructure needs growth?
should Chandler continue reducing property taxes even if infrastructure needs grow?
I think infrastructure is covered by our CIP, and yes, we can continue to reduce those taxes.
Okay. Angel?
I'll say yes.
Joe?
No.
Ron, continue reducing property taxes even if infrastructure needs grow?
Absolutely.
Cicely?
Yes.
Okay. Lisa, will wrap with you on this one. Property taxes even if infrastructure needs grow.
If it works with the budget, yes.
All right, so we're at Angel now. Well, never mind. I already asked that one, so I'm going to back to Angel here. Okay. Is there a city program you'd reduce or eliminate funding for?
Oh, city program or
Is there a city program you'd reduce or eliminate funding for?
I'm drawing a blank. I'm going to say none at this moment, just thinking of all the resources and services that we
Yeah,
provide.
sure. Joe?
I can't answer that question. I don't have an answer for it.
Ron, is there a program you'd reduce or even eliminate funding for?
Yeah, I think you should always, be on the lookout. There's opportunities everywhere. That's what this is about. So I would be looking to reduce where it made sense
Sure.
and just look at the portfolio.
Cicely, is there a city program you'd reduce or eliminate funding for?
No, not at this moment.
Lisa, how about you?
I can't come up with anything, but after reviewing something, if there was something that made sense, then I would look at that.
Sure. Jane, we spoke about the budget earlier. Is there a program that you'd reduce or eliminate funding for?
I mentioned the park in downtown earlier. We actually reduced the budget on that to me and said, here is your budget. We reduced it by $10 million. We said, come back to us and tell us what you can do. And I think that was an excellent way to manage the budget. And I think we should continue to do that with some of those larger projects that are more expensive, phase them in or reduce their budget.
Thanks, Jane. Folks, that was a whirlwind. Great job, all of you. Let's give them a hand. That was great, everybody. All right, so we're going to wrap up with our closing statements. We started from my left and worked to the right to open, so we're going to go backwards to close. So everybody's going to get a minute for their closing statement. So Cicely Rocha-Miller, we're going to start with your closing statement. You've got 1 minute. Thank you.
Chandler is growing and changing, and the decisions we make now will shape this city for future generations. I'm not here to build a political career. I'm here to build a stronger community. Thank you to the Chandler Chamber, our moderator, our sponsors, and the support of our police and fire and past and current council members who've endorsed me. Your belief in me is truly humbling. And thank you to my family, my husband, and my best friend, Joe, my daughter, Aniston, who's class president and is the one who inspired me to run again, my son, Joey, at Chandler High, my baseball player that gives me pep talks when I need it. To my neighbors, to my family and friends here tonight, thank you. This isn't a me campaign. This is a we campaign because I believe in Chandler, in our schools, in our businesses, and the people. And for those of you that haven't met me yet, I'm Cicely Rocha-Miller. Meet me for coffee. I want to hear your ideas, and I want to represent who makes decisions with you. Please visit cicelyforchandler.com, and I humbly ask for your vote on July 21st. And to the Chamber, I would be honored to earn your endorsement again. It would be an honor to serve.
Cicely. Ron, your closing statement. Go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Garrett. I would like to say, first of all, just thank you and to the Chamber again for this opportunity to be here. But I would like to also say thanks for letting me be a part of the conversation tonight. I'm running for council here, as I mentioned earlier, because I do care about our community. And as being someone who raised their family here in the Southeast Valley, I think it's important that we get involved, and this is where it starts, local. For me, I've been a long time fan of the Chamber. I've been involved with the Chamber. I went through the Chamber's leadership program. I've got a lot of experience. I've sat on the Maricopa County Workforce Development Board. I currently work for the city of Phoenix, where I manage anywhere from $100 to $180 million of capital budget in a day. So I'm very familiar with large budgets. Chandler, this is an important moment for us. It's going to be complex. You need someone who understands strategy and can get the job done. My commitment is simple: make practical, long-term decisions that keep Chandler safe, strong, and economically competitive. I want to thank you. And again, to find more about my campaign, just visit ronhardenforchandler.com. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Great. Thanks, Ron. Thanks for being here. Joe, your closing statement for the evening.
Tonight, you heard many ideas, but this election comes down to one question: who is truly ready to lead Chandler through this next chapter? Now, Chandler faces serious decisions: lawsuits, ethic concerns, water security, stronger mental health support for residents and our first responders, and overdue infrastructure improvements. We cannot keep kicking the can down the road. These require real leadership and hard decisions, and I've been there and I've made them. The fallout of RWCD is one of my greatest concerns as well. Losing our 100-year water supply assurance to a city in the desert is concerning. RWCD board members include longtime Chandler and Gilbert residents with deep roots and ties to our community. I believe it may take someone with the same longevity to make that repair. I am running because I love this city. My family's here, and I know I can help. I respectfully ask for your vote. I am Joe Granado, and I was built to lead this city, and thank you.
Joe. Ron, let's kill your mic before we toss it over to Angela. Thank you. Angel, your closing statement for the evening. Go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great discussion tonight and insight from our candidates. Thank you for your participation. Thank you so much. It was a great debate today. To our business community, you have an experienced partner, collaborator, and advocate on your side with me. I'll work to continue to move Chandler forward with your insight, experience, leadership, and success. Together, we can maintain Chandler as the first option for business in Arizona. To our voters, thank you for trusting me in 2022. I hope that I've met your expectation over these years, and I ask for your support and vote again for an additional 4 years to continue this work. To learn more about my vision, my leadership for Chandler, please visit angelforchandler.com. Follow us on social media. I've grown up in this amazing community. I'm a true product of our schools, our community, our vision and leadership, and I want to preserve that for our next generation. I'm your Vice Mayor, Angel Encinas, for Chandler City Council, Chandler Grown and Growing Chandler.
Great. Thanks, Angel. Jane, your closing statement for the evening.
All right, thank you. I want to thank the Chamber and the sponsors of this event and my fellow candidates for being here tonight. This is a unique forum, and it's one wonderful way for our residents to learn about their elected officials and to learn more about their city, and I really appreciate that. Most of all, I appreciate the support of my family, Jason, Jacob, Jackson, all the J's. Public service is a time commitment, and they support me in that at all times. But I am committed to doing the work. I've been doing the work again with the business community and the chamber. I hope that to continue the foundation that we've laid in creating an excellent relationship between the city and the chamber and our other partners. I'm very excited about the opportunity to continue the work that I started. I'm very proud to have earned the endorsement of police and fire again. The chamber endorsed me during my first term. I would hope to earn that endorsement again. I appreciate everything you've done. To learn more about me, I'm at janeposton.com. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jane. Lisa, close us out. Your closing statement.
Close us out. I want to start by saying how grateful I am for the opportunity to be here tonight, to all the residents and especially to my family and my close friends who have encouraged me and supported me in this endeavor. Chandler's success has not happened by accident. It is the result of strong leadership, smart decisions, and a commitment to getting things right. But we can't take that success for granted. We need to stay focused on supporting our business community, keeping costs low, and making thoughtful decisions to allow Chandler to grow responsibly. As a small business owner and a longtime resident, I understand the real impact city decisions have on jobs, families, and opportunity. I am a problem solver, and I do work well with others. I will be a strong, reliable voice for both residents and the business community. Thank you to the Chandler Chamber and to our moderator for hosting tonight's forum, and I respectfully ask for your endorsement for Chandler City Council. I'm proud to have the support of Mayor Kevin Harkey, and I'm ready to get to work. And to the residents of Chandler, I respectfully ask for your vote on July 21st. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Let's give our candidates a round of applause. I have a few closing remarks, but I do want to thank all of you for engaging in this process. That was an excellent conversation. We deeply appreciate you coming out. And of course, we want to thank our sponsors and the audience, the candidates. Obviously, we couldn't do this without you, but we couldn't do it without our sponsors, Intel, Withy, Morris Baugh, Bilston Consulting, Salt River Project, and without their contributions, tonight would not be possible. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us for this City Council Candidate Forum, and remember to vote on July 21st. That's it for this evening. Thanks for joining us.